Last night was a lot of fun. Here's Amari and Hampton's first touch as a Charger. He's just shedding tackles. He's going to be tough to bring down. This was a huge mistake. He gets to the outside, could have easily had a first down, but he tries to do too much, and that's Rocky Sin. These are NFL athletes. You're not in college anymore. A little play action bootleg to Will Disley for the touchdown. How about Trey Lance kind of stole the show last night, absolutely throwing dots. Keandre Lambert Smith was his first catch as a Charger. He had a great game. There's my guy, Nico Ray. I thought he was going to take that one to the house. Tony Jefferson, okay, I see you with a pick on the play. The Chargers defense was phenomenal last night. I know a lot of people are going to bring up that this is a Hall of Fame game, it's meaningless. But is it meaningless? At the end of the day, it's a football game, and the Chargers clearly have more depth than the Lions, which says a lot because Detroit is really good. But this is something I've been preaching all summer is that the first, second, and even the third string for the Chargers has looked incredible. I mean, even when they match up against the starters, it's not easy by any means. I think this is our year, guys. I truly do. And nobody's expecting much out of Los Angeles. There's a few people out there who believe that we're going to win the division and make a deep playoff run, but most people, like consensus, has the Chiefs really running away with this division, which is exactly what we want. Nobody's picking the Chargers to go to the Super Bowl. And of course, last night we won 34-7. It doesn't exactly mean we're going to be the best team in the league, but just considering the fact of you put in the work all spring, you put in the work during the summer, and then you go out there and you play, and the Chargers put up 14 points in the first quarter. They only gave up 7 points. And Trey Lance, who is the third string quarterback of this team, 13 of 20, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also showed some mobility. I mean, Lance threw some really good balls last night. Of course, he had the touchdown pass to Lambert Smith, 2 for 43 on the day for him. I also liked what I saw out of Kamani Vidal, who was 9 of 37 with 2 touchdowns on the ground. Very, very solid performance from him. I mean, Hampton goes 2 for 9. That's 4.5 yards per carry, which is not anything crazy, like, don't get me wrong. But it was just good to see him out there. He broke some tackles. He had a drive. The Chargers got him out of there. You don't want to injure a guy in a Hall of Fame preseason game. So, of course, it's just all preparation for our Week 1 game against the Chiefs. I mean, you talk about stakes. The first game of the season, it's technically considered a home game, which is pretty stupid. How does that make any sort of sense? The Chargers have a home game in Brazil against the Kansas City Chiefs at 8 p.m. on Friday the 5th of September. But that's a game you just feel like you've got to win. You feel like you have to start off the season with a lot of momentum. I mean, that's not to say the Chargers, they can lose this game and still have a great season. But it almost just feels like if this is really the Chargers' year, they're going to knock off the Chiefs week 1 and let them know that, hey, look, your run's over. Our run is just beginning. And in Los Angeles, the roster they've put together, it's just so physical. It's not the biggest names in the world. But as we know, that's not how you win. You have to draft and develop players and, of course, add on free agents. You have to have the right management, the right staff, the right scheme. And Greg Roman last season was super, super handicapped because the interior of the line, there was no explosiveness at the running back position. There was no explosiveness at the receiver position. And very similar to his days in Baltimore as an offensive coordinator when he had Lamar Jackson, there wasn't much to work with. There was no run game outside of Lamar. There certainly wasn't any skill positions. Give Mark Andrews credit, obviously. Mark Andrews is probably a future Hall of Fame, right? I mean, I don't know if he's a future. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I have to look at his numbers, but he's a really good player when he's fully healthy, except when the game's on the line, right? But it's just anyway. So that was kind of the Chargers last season. There wasn't much. I mean, Ladd McConkey's a stud, but you need receivers on the outside if you want to be able to win at the NFL level. And that's why they drafted, of course, Trey Harris. That's why they drafted Keandre Lambert Smith. And Smith, he's just the prototypical NFL receiver who can just line up outside. He's 6'1", 182, good size in him, good hands. Doesn't seem like he drops the ball. And whenever he's in a contested catch situation, he's coming down with it 9 times out of 10. And his ability to control his body midair and to come back to the football, that's something we haven't seen much out of Quentin Johnson, if any at all. Like, we've seen it a little bit in training camp, but Lambert Smith, the first day he walks on the practice field, he's making these crazy catches, and he just looks like a seasoned veteran out there. A 5th-round pick, by the way, out of Auburn, man. I mean, this guy, he's looking like really the steal of the draft so far. It's very, very early, but just from what I've seen, would not be shocked at all if he's starting week 1 for the Chargers. He's going to have competition with, of course, Johnston, and he's going to compete with Trey Harris. But right now, I mean, he's looked just as good as those guys, if I'm being completely honest with you. So I'm excited about that. But in terms of the rest of the game, Kyle Allen threw two interceptions. One of them went to, of course, Nico Reed. The other went to Tony Jefferson. Also, the defense, in terms of the run defense, 28 for 93. That's 3.3 yards per carry. And in terms of through the air, just 104 yards. Hendon Hooker goes 3 of 6. And Kyle Allen goes 9 of 14 again with those two picks. We also got to see Zion Johnson play the center position at a high snap on the first drive. He also had a bad exchange with Trey Lance, which wasn't great. I don't think Zion's going to play center. I think you guys can kind of all agree with me on that. He's just getting reps, which is great. I think personally, Bradley Bozeman is going to be the center. I'm not entirely sure, though, if Zion is even going to start. Is he? Probably. But also, I think that Jamari Sawyer is making a strong case. He's had a great camp. He's dropped like 30, 35 pounds. Sawyer came out of Georgia, which, of course, is one of the best colleges, college footballs, well, really colleges in general in the country. He's a hard worker. He's a very talented player. But when you have 30 to 35 pounds of bad weight on you, there's only so much you can do. But he's removed that. And he did get first team reps, of course, last practice. So yeah, keep an eye on Jamar Sawyer. I made a whole video on him, of course. I made a video on Nico Reed. He was like the back end of that video. I didn't see the second half. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to sit up here and cap. The reason being is I recorded the game. I watched the first half, and then I recorded the second half, and then I went out to hang out with friends. I came back, and let's just say I don't have the second half footage, so I'm just looking at the numbers. DJ goes 2 of 3, so there was no throwing in the second half, which is understandable. I did see Nyheim Hines actually get a couple of carries. He goes 8 for 34. Hassan Haskins, 6 for 34, certainly will make the roster as a special teams guy. Let's see. That was kind of it. Tucker Fisk had a catch for 19 yards. Jarrett Patterson at 2 for 18. Will Disley, both his catches came on the first drive. Brandon Rice had a catch for 13 yards. How about that? I don't think he's looked great in camp. And I remember coming into camp, I was excited about Rice. And then, yeah, not so much. Man, he's not looked great. But he did have a catch. A shout out to him. There's so many receivers on this team, man. Devon Campbell had a catch for 12 yards. Jalen Johnson, 1 for 10. Haskins did have an 8-yard catch out of the backfield. How about Aronde Gadsden, 1 for 7. So he did have a catch. Pretty cool. Darius Davis had a catch kind of early on in this game, too, for 4 yards. He had to jump up to get it. But that was it. So really not too much to exactly take away from this game. But it is football at the end of the day, and it's something to watch. It's something which is at home against the New Orleans Saints. And then 6 days after that, at Los Angeles against the Rams. So not really exactly a road game, but and then Santa Clara against the 49ers. Dude, I used to think that the Niners played in San Francisco for so long.